Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on? There was traffic on the way in today, but guess what? XRP, can it hit an all-time high? I know we talk about this a lot, but the market is heating up as we're facing unparalleled recession and inflation, all these crazy things going on with fiat. Crypto is just percolating, getting ready for some big liftoff. Now, there are 12 Amici briefs filed for Ripple. Man, has the SEC been caught red-handed? What do you think, Chip? You ready to kick this thing off?
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Jeff, what I've noticed is so far the SEC has zero people going out on a limb for the SEC, except for there was one story that I will pull up here that seems like they did get a little bit of support, but it's crazy, man. Here, I'm gonna pull this one up. It looks like they did get just a tiny bit of support, and I'm not so sure it's the kind of support you're looking for, but here it is right here, just to kind of get into it.
Yeah. Sound like there are a lot of fireworks going on.
Yeah, the Mafia submits first amicus brief for the SEC, and the Ripple XRP case look like harmless fellows going to bat for their team in the ninth inning of the case. Notorious La Cosa Nostra, commonly known as the Mafia, submitted their first amicus brief in support of the SEC in the legal battle against blockchain payments company Ripple and the digital asset XRP. Of course, it's parody, and that's, of course, we had on none other than XRP, the Standard Productions, and we did chat a little bit about this, but that's the crypto town crier where truth matters more than accuracy. You see how that works, Jeff? But if you guys missed that episode, go check it out. It was really good. We also have Dirk. We had Dirk, the founder of Xspector, the cool, awesome new project with NFTs and Metaverse, which is really pretty awesome. But when we break this down, Jeff, the whole idea of, the first time we obviously knew John Dean was going to file, right? We're all in that. And, as far as the 75,000 people, pretty exciting. We're like, yeah, that's pretty exciting. But then, bam, 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 everybody started showing up. And really the angle is there's a use case. My business relies heavily on it. Spend the Bits is all about the XRPL. And being able to move, in this case, Bitcoin from point A to point B in relatively 4 to 5 seconds, leveraging the XRP ledger. And then you had like TapJets and all these other people kind of coming to the rescue here. Just out of curiosity, Jeff, you're the judge. What does that look like if you see 12 amicus briefs filed? First of all, the one with 74,000 XRP holders.
Yeah, no. The fact that you have 12 amicus briefs filed at this point, and going into this, and we said this the other day, when the Blockchain Association decided to finally get involved in this thing, it's like, come on, it's finally time to see some momentum here against the SEC. But the SEC is in full overreach, and these amicus filings, I think, are so critical at this point. It's just, it means everything. But this, and there's another article that we had pulled up here, just talking about this historical case. And it really is a historical case, because this is really the largest, I'm going to say the first, but it is by far the largest lawsuit that has any relation to cryptocurrency, and taking on Ripple. But it's not just about Ripple, it's all about the XRP holders as well, because as we know, the SEC singled out XRP holders and has been doing everything in direct opposition to their mission statement. And their mission statement is specifically, geared up to protecting the retail investor, which they didn't do. They continue not to do, and it's extremely dangerous, Chip, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but I have to say that we're actually at a pretty good point. Anybody if you got to give any community a lot a lot of kudos really has to be the XRP community. We've certainly weathered quite a bit out there, and and following everything. And of course, a lot of everybody holds a lot of different type of digital assets. Some people really look for use case. Some people just like a meme coin. It's like, hey, it's fun. It's a cute little dog. It's a Dogecoin. Maybe Elon Musk was hyping it a little bit, and we certainly saw that 2.5x. So that was kind of cool too. Alchemist says the XRP, the standard productions, had him rolling. Yeah, well, you should have seen before the show. I mean, man, before the show and then after the show, sometimes those are a lot of fun as well. So, but I'm just saying that it's very interesting that we are at this juncture in this case. But I mean, all signs kind of point, and it's funny how everyone's getting in line, especially in the trade pubs, the ones that ignored it in the beginning. But a lot of people are starting to come together saying, hey, there's something here. And sort of seems like the universal thought leadership around this is that the SEC is going down, basically, from what we can tell. And look, we have to wait and see how this all pans out. But the fact is that it's just not looking good for the SEC. And they didn't make a good case out of the box, and they can't leverage it. Every XRP that was sold in the secondary market is a security. It's just the whole on its head. It's just ridiculous. That's what I want to say. If you're like first time here, go ahead and like, subscribe, click that notification bell. That way, anytime something drops, and be happy to go ahead and drop where you're from. If you're watching the rewatch, city, country where you're coming in from. And we like to see where everybody's coming in from. It's always a great thing.
So crazy. There's fireworks going on somewhere outside. It's it's like the 4th of July outside right now.
And what's funny about it is because we have that filter on, like sometimes my dog will get he'll be dreaming, he'll start barking. But because I'm using Crisp, you don't hear it, but it drives you crazy. If there's like noise going on your side, it'll just drive you insane.
This is nonstop fireworks outside.
Is it someone's birthday? I mean, what's going on? Why would somebody want? What's up?
It's been going on for like 10
Flare
minutes.
community in the house. One of the best sources, period, to find out anything that's going on with Flare. This is obviously, you guys, if you're not subscribed, go subscribe over there. But Flare community, man, phenomenal stuff. And this is where Jeff and I go to learn about Flare. So it's really very cool. Legendary's in the house too. To see you. Big support of the channel as well. But yeah, let's break some stuff down, Jeff. Let's pull some articles up. Let's kind of like with mini workshop them here on the chain. We'll kind of go through them and give some opinions.
So John Doe is wondering, did they just get the news of the Astros win? Maybe that's what's going on outside. I don't know.
Could have been delayed by 24 hours, Jeff. It's all possible, right? I mean,
Oh, Blood Moon Tuesday, election day.
Yeah, that's a weird thing too, right? Isn't that a weird sort of not that I'm into astrology or anything, but I was saying, like, is that a big deal? They're like, yeah, it only happens once every whatever. And I'm like, it just happens to be on election day. I'm like, well, what is that, a good thing? Michigan's on the chain. I like that.
Michigan on the chain. Check that out. Man, you know what's crazy? We have a lot of listeners in Australia. We also have a lot of listeners in Florida, and we have a lot of listeners in Michigan. Just happens that way. How is that possible, Chip? Australia, Florida, and Michigan.
We've got our strongholds, Jeff. We're very happy to keep them. Australia's like, I got to tell you, man, I can't wait to go to Australia. It's like one of the continents I haven't visited yet.
Yeah, me too.
I've been to Europe and all over South America. I've been all over Europe, and it's islands, but that's a place I can't wait to go because we know so many people there. It'd be just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
see that Michigan right there, Crypto Mojo. Man, Norway. Got Norway here. Norway's a great place.
Can't wait. I cannot wait, Jeff.
One listener in Nebraska. That's awesome. We got Delray Beach, Salvatore. Delray. I like Delray
Beach right in the house over here, man.
Atlantic Ave. So, Chip, what's the first thing we're going to get into? Obviously, we got some interesting topics. One of them, there's some stuff going on, man. I'll tell you what. I had an interesting conversation yesterday with somebody, but there's a ton going on right now with the different feds around the world testing out digital currencies. The U.S. is no different, Chip. And, one of the things that we always reference on the CBDC front, Chip, is, really the centralized nature of it. But check this out. In its New York subsidiary, the U.S. Federal Reserve completed the first test of Project Cedar, the initiative testing a central bank digital currency. The New York Innovation Center carried out the first phase and highlighted the potential for digital assets and blockchain tech to improve legacy payment rails. So, Chip, there's a lot of stuff heating up with this. And at the same time, as we know, there's a lot heating up as it comes to crypto. There's a lot heating up, and there's a lot hanging on this case, this SEC v. Ripple case. Man, I think the outcome of it is really going to be either it's going to be super detrimental moving forward to the entire crypto and blockchain space in the US, or it's going to be the most amazing thing that we've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, I'm almost convinced right now that really you could almost like say, hey, breaking news right now, and you could insert any subject, and I would be like, it could be almost anything. Look, a spaceship just landed. It turns out it wasn't fireworks. A spaceship landed in my. There's little green guys coming out, and they're coming in. We're going to interview them right now. I'd be like, sounds plausible. At this point, almost anything sounds like it's plausible. But I wanted to put something up. Who was talking about the Astros win? Patrick Bet-David put this tweet up, and I was like, this is why I was watching that game even more. He said, over the past 100 years, the surest sign of an economic downturn has been a Philly-based baseball team winning the World Series. It happened in 1929, 1930, 1980, and 2008. So we may have just been spared there, Jeff. I mean, so here we are. If Philadelphia won that, then what? We'd be just absolutely sure. But you look at those dates, 1929, 1930, stock market crash, 1980, massive downturn, the crash, the housing crash in 2008, and then 2022. And it's sad because I know a lot of people from Philly that I wish that it's sad to see that at least their football team's doing really well. They're still doing phenomenal. But formerly known as Chip. There you go. Yeah, artist formerly known as Chip. Simon and Kef. You can do that. So you can play at that.
Yeah.
You can do that, Simon and Kef, and then it blows up all over again. It's insane how that happens, right? It was funny. He called me Skip a couple times.
Yeah, I had changed your name to Skip at first, but you didn't notice.
I did catch on later though. I did finally catch on at some point.
My name is
I don't
Simon.
really look at the names. That's the funny thing. You don't really look at the name. Yeah, and I like these drawings. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a very good one. How do we pull this one up? This is interesting too. I wanted to jump into this one just because this right here, you can apply almost anything that's coming out right now, but I'll throw this up here. So 90% of GameFi projects are ruining the industry's reputation because too many projects are basically releasing these overhyped trailers that they couldn't possibly even come close on any given day to match with gameplay. You're like, that looks amazing. It's like, and look at this dude. He's just sitting there. Bro, I don't know if he's making the trailer. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know that.
I mean, I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I mean, but it's
the problem is they keep building them on Ethereum.
GameFi is set to unleash a massive potential within the next 6 years, according to Absolute Reports data. Estimated to grow to 2.8 billion by 2028. Compound annual growth rate of 20.4% in the same period. It's acquired and perhaps less scandalous branch compared to the more newsworthy centralized finance, the CeFi, and decentralized finance, DeFi spaces, but this hasn't impacted its force nor its promise. It says there's a problem with GameFi. The difference in quality in the teaser trailers and delivered products often stark enough to get under the skin of even eager gamers that put their faith in them. Yeah, I've seen this so many times, Jeff, where they all look at this, and it's like, these like fully. You look at these.
Are you talking about games in general?
I think. Well, I mean, GameFi is one of them, but just pretty much in general. But isn't that how every project starts? Don't we see that with regular crypto projects where they're overhyped and it's like, what problem do you solve? We solve the world's problems, every problem, this problem, that problem. And we're going to do this, this, and this. And it's like one of the things that I bring it back to is that Ripple focused. They knew there's a lot of different use cases. They said, look, cross-border payments was simply the first one. But what they said was, we got to start somewhere. And you have to appreciate an organization that spends its time really honing in and making it the best possible product when they're selling software to financial institutions and banks. And that's what Ripple did. That's what their focus was. They didn't try to do, what does it do? Well, it does this and it does that. But the community, turns out the community found some other use cases for it. We had Coil, streaming those micropayments. Like if there's people watching right now, and if you guys believe in the ecosystem, go to coil.com. For $5, you can get a Coil subscription, and when you watch YouTubers, and not just us, but I would say almost anybody there, you could watch. What, doesn't matter who it is, Crypto Eddie. All of us have the capability to receive that stream. So that means that whoever you watch, you're streaming those micropayments. If there's enough people, it changes an industry, right? I mean, there's enough people streaming these payments, so it's pretty cool.
It's still, I look at Coil still kind of in a beta test type format, where it's in development, it's testing, the concept, which is, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, and the fact of what you're bringing up, it would really be great if if we'd have a group of just YouTubers that are in the crypto space that are actually also linked in with Coil and receiving and streaming, or gaining the micropayments using XRP would be amazing. And maybe we'd see the YouTuber amicus, brief filing, which could be pretty outstanding. And it's, man, there's things are heating up right now, Chip. We can look at, right now we have an election coming up here in 2 days. Tuesday, by end of day
Finally
Tuesday,
here.
we should have some outcome. But with that, obviously there's record inflation going on right now around the world. Gas prices are sky high, and there's a lot of concern over this incoming recession. While all that is going on, we see Fed reserves and different parts of the world, like China with their digital yuan, really rolling out their digital currencies, their CBDCs, their central bank digital currencies that are 100% controlled and programmable. And so with that, we're also seeing, a lot of opportunities here within this decentralized new world, this new economic world that we're in front of. And Chip, I want to get your feedback on this one, because this really got me. We've talked about this before, but it's happening on such a wide scale right now. But if you take Lebanon as an example, right? So Lebanon has had a lot of financial turmoil. So check this out. Locals are now mining Bitcoin, and they're then taking Tether to buy groceries. So it's amazing to me. And a big part of this conversation is because of the fact that they were shut out of their banking system for a little while. It's been really, really difficult to get money over there. And if they're trying to exchange money or bring money in, have people from outside of Lebanon send them money, the cost of transacting that currency could be as high as 85%. So they could lose 85% of the money that's sent to them through this transfer. So you take this guy as an example. So he does a lot of freelance. So he's not necessarily mining, but he's freelancing and he's getting paid in Bitcoin. He also has a job as an architect, and he takes every dollar that he gets and he puts it into Bitcoin. Well, he has his expenses, and then the rest he buys Bitcoin, because he knows that holding some asset, and I find it interesting, Bitcoin, but holding some asset is better than holding the local currency in Lebanon because
That's
of all the chaos. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, to me, it's staggering.
Well, I think this is well, there you go with use case, right? There's a perfect use case, is that you cannot trust the fiat currency, especially when it's so devalued through incredible inflation. The same thing's going on in Argentina, where it's 100% inflation. So this is actually, in a sad way, it's actually it's really good for digital assets, because more people are moving to digital assets, and they realize that they want a place to sort of preserve. If you're holding one Lebanese dollar, right, you're whatever the equivalent of, I don't know what is dollar, whatever the denomination is, and that ends up looking like 15 cents, how are you preserving that? So people just, it's not even wealth that they want to preserve. I mean, that's one of the use cases, but people are going to want to preserve that. And I find that it's really going to be, Jeff, it's one of these things where it's really a great thing that brings more people that may not, because now look, I mean, the bottom line is that when you need to eat and you need to do basic functions to survive, this is a phenomenal use case. This is a great use case that supersedes anything else. You can say, well, buy a digital asset and it's an investment. No, this is the basic tenets of survival right here. So
Yeah, I mean, look at this, Chip, and this is, and like you said, real world. It's happening right now. It's not just fictitious in some white paper. And this is utility, but look at the extent that they go to. They don't even know about XRP potentially, but they know about Bitcoin. Maybe they don't have a way, maybe they don't have an exchange in Lebanon to buy XRP. And so they go to Bitcoin to really leverage everything. But look at the local currency has lost more than 95% of its value since 2019. So in the past 3 years, 95% of its value. So almost valueless, right? So the minimum wage has effectively plummeted from $450 a month to $17 a month. 17. So it's crazy. Their pensions have zero value at this point. And it's crazy to me. I look at this. Look, you could have taken your money out with a 15% haircut, then 35%. Today, they're at 85%. If they try to get their money, 85%, they lose everything. I mean, there's nothing left, and so, we saw with El Salvador, we saw them getting into using Bitcoin. Do you think, again, Bitcoin first mover advantage? So that seems to be the discussion of the time. Here they're talking about Tether and Bitcoin. Why Bitcoin? Why isn't anybody experimenting in these countries talking about XRP? Do they, you put your money in an XRP or an XLM, or it could be one of many other assets that move better and actually cheaper than Bitcoin. But these countries always seem to go to Bitcoin.
It's just it's the name brand recognition of anything else, and somebody else says, hey, it's Bitcoin, somebody else uses Bitcoin, but we're not really there yet. I think that's part of it. So I think we will get there. Jeff, I wanted to throw this up here. I wanted to show this. This is interesting. This is so Warren Davidson, who looks by all accounts looks like he's up for re-election as well, but he's one of the advocates, and of course of digital assets, and he's also hammered Gary Gensler, which gives me all the respect in the world. But he was talking about this. So, James Melville tweeted this video out, but he's like, hey, would Russell Brand be a better prime minister? Because you got this new prime minister. And, Jeff, I'm just not impressed. I'll be honest with you. Just, I'm not, I mean.
I had high hopes for him. I really did.
I have zero hopes for him. I mean, I can't get past the voice. And it's just. I mean, he might be a great guy. Don't get me wrong. It's just not working for me. But he's saying, would Russell Brand be a better prime minister? The future of money is one of the most essential battles for defending freedom. If the globalists succeed with their dystopian perversion of money, #CBDC, Western civilization is in peril. And it couldn't be any right. And look at that. It's like, hello, my name is Rishi. I'm gonna pour a lot of BS into this thing.
Conservative.
Yeah. Huh?
He's a conservative.
Yeah. Well, the conservative over in the UK doesn't mean the same thing as it means here, Jeff. You've noticed that, right?
True.
They've all been conservatives. Boris was a conservative too. That didn't really float. And then you look at the policies and you're like, I don't think so. So let's listen to this. Let's listen to this. This is a great rant. I almost wish it was my rant, but again, it's a great rant. Hang on a second. Let's turn that up. So here's the prime minister talking about CBDCs. Here we go. And we'll hear from Russell Brand. I'm going to play it all the way through, Jeff. People don't like when we talk through it.
Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote.
I like it because we've got a broad concept. What if this person's an idiot? Which we think that they are. It's like a digital penny for your digital money box, for your digital shithole that you live in. You will owe nothing. You will be happy.
that could be used alongside physical notes and coins.
For now, till we phase them out, if you start any little trucker protests, oh, where's my money gone? The digital piggy bank is broken, I'm afraid. Start being a bit more cooperative.
Unlike most of the digital money people use daily today, it would be issued directly by a central bank, like the Bank of England in the UK.
That's good, a central bank. Nothing wrong with centralized authority, centralized power, globalist decrees coming down from on high, avoiding democracy. That's exactly what we want. Keep talking.
And governments and
watching
central
the
banks
show.
across the world are working together.
Oh, really? They're working together? Well, that's just such great news. The IMF, the World Bank. Why don't we involve the WEF and the WHO? What we need are unelected global bodies that have been able to co-opt political power, respond to financial power, and ignore and oppress ordinary people. Whether it's the recent medical emergency or the cost of living crisis, we're seeing the benefits all around us. I can't wait for your next policy. You're going to take our money now. This is great.
Looking into what having a digital currency might mean in practice.
I think I know what it means in practice. More power for you, no power for us.
This includes issues that people care about, such as ensuring users' money would be safe and secure, that it could work with other ways to pay, would be energy efficient.
Oh, it's got to be energy efficient. I was about to say, is it energy efficient? Is it energy efficient? I've got to make sure. Oh, a few other questions. You wouldn't use this ever, would you, to implement control or to advance social credit type systems or to shut down the bank accounts of people you disagree with or to surveil people and have a surveillance network that you've developed in conjunction with big tech and now a financial arm that you're developing so that you can lock step together and gridlock us in a digital prison of surveillance tyranny? That's just off the top of my head.
Oh my
Did-
God.
So that right there, I mean, it's the best rant that I've ever heard on that. I mean,
But
we've ranted on that a
perfect.
few
Oh
times.
my
But man,
God,
how
we've-
good is that?
Spot on for, I mean, everything that we've been talking about. It's crazy, It's really amazing. I look at, how we look at the CBDCs, and he's 100% spot on. It's central bank, and the biggest concern with it, and
Digital control.
it's digital control, and he's spot on with that. We're already seeing that with the digital yuan. We know the direction it's going in. Man, I heard some really scary things about what's going on over there in China. Not to go political, but man, they've been having shutdowns for the past 3 months. I heard things that you'll never see on the news, and it's terrifying. I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying what's going on over there when they lock people in their homes. But this is just, and so Russell, he's 100% spot on with that. That's the biggest concern. And Chip, even as they discussed the digital dollar, they talk about privacy, and they said this is really a big concern, is
It's-
privacy.
that's
And
the
did they really
first-
care?
Well,
That's
Jeff, when
like-
they say privacy, that's the first notice to me that that's not, if that's what they're citing as a concern, that's not their concern. That's our concern. And what they're trying to do is, we understand that privacy is an issue. It's like, oh, good, they've mentioned about privacy. And bottom line is that no, it's not have anything to do with privacy. That's the whole thing. He talked about that in the video, but that's why they really need to be rebranded. CBDC is central. What is it right now? What's the damn thing called? Central digital
centralized control of your money and
digital bank control. I mean, it's the CBDC, centralized
Yeah.
central
I've got a
bank
quick
digital
video
central bank digital currency,
I've got a
central
quick
bank
video.
digital control.
controls. Let me
is
show you
what
the
it really
video.
is.
Let me just play this real quick video. Hang on a second.
Come on, man, Berserker.
Berserker.
Wait.
Berserker.
Use-
Yeah. So I mean, this whole thing about the CBDCs and people like, that's the thing about, when it comes to Ripple, it's like, okay, they have the mechanism there, but if you have that flag and you'll say like, well, you can, if you can control whether people use what they spend it on, you could definitely have that level of control. It's like, yeah, you could, but okay, well, maybe that's going to be why everyone's going to push back on it.
There you go. CBDCC, central bank digital controlled currency.
I just go with CBDC, which is central bank digital control. Is it really a currency anymore? It's a control mechanism. CBDC, central bank digital control. That's what it stands for. I mean, because I'm not even sure. Is it a currency? I guess it is. But
It's
what
still a
happens?
currency because it's a means of exchange.
Yeah, until it's
or
not,
good
until it doesn't
until they
until it doesn't
well,
work
they can
for you
still
anymore.
well, yeah, but it's still a currency. It's just they control it.
Until you're
It's
zeroed out.
it's just not your currency.
That's the thing. Well, it's
Right.
somebody's currency. But
It's
that's where the
somebody's
digital
currency. It's just not
but
your
that's where the digital control, and it's good to see these kind of type articles, Jeff. Look at this. Ripple heading towards a historical win against SEC and XRP suit. Well, it's a Ripple suit.
yeah. It
As
definitely
it is
100% historical.
as it supports Ripple and Mass. So yeah, it's a little bit so they can't even get the headline right. You know, they had to say in XRP suit. No, it's a Ripple
But,
suit.
yeah, it's
It has
a
nothing to do with XRP. XRP is a digital asset. It's the so-called security.
although they have kind of again they singled out the XRP holders, so I think that's where all these amicus filings are coming from, specifically from this notion, because
And this
so
was
many people have been injured as a direct result of the SEC. Thank you, SEC.
right here. As Gallagher House explained, for those of you keeping count, 12 amici briefs submitted. It's unprecedented. In parentheses, I'm told to have this happen at this stage. They each explain in their own unique way the imperishable harm the SEC will do to every facet of the U.S. crypto economy if it gets its way. While broader market awaits the result, Attorney Jeremy Hogan highlights the different possible outcomes, revealing that the Ripple v. SEC suit might result in more than just a win or lose situation for both parties. He explained that there might be a summary judgment where the judge can rule on any piece of the case while the rest is left for trial. So he said that the judge could decide that all sales were securities and leave the issue of damages and scatter the individual defendants for trial. Also, yes, the judge could rule no sales were of securities, and that covers all the pieces, although I'd throw that out there. I don't like when he starts talking like this, Jeff. I don't like when he starts talking this kind of stuff, but I guess they could, but I don't know. I mean, after all this, does a judge say all of them were securities? I mean, obviously that's an option, but I don't know if I see that at this point.
Yeah, I don't. Well, not to the extent of what the G-man Gary Gensler is talking about. When he says that everything sold on the secondary market and beyond, is kind of crazy. Now, there's two interesting comments here. I want to start with Sophie's first, and I'm going to go back to XRP Speedboat's comment, because that deserves a little discussion as well. And Sophie's comment here is, when I first started buying crypto, my bank would freeze my account, no CBDC involved. And Chip, my thought on this is the difference in this situation is that the bank was freezing it because they saw it potentially as a fraudulent transaction. The
Right.
government wasn't involved in that freezing. When we talk about the CBDC, we're talking about the government penalizing you for your thought or your action, politically or otherwise motivated, to where they're just going to freeze you out of your money, maybe because they didn't like the way you tied your shoes, or
Maybe.
because they didn't like the fact that you bought oil or a gas powered vehicle instead of an electric powered vehicle, and they limit access to your funds. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it is a little bit scary. I mean, this happened to me too. It's like all of a sudden froze your account because like you didn't have access to anything because they thought maybe somebody was again, because it was such a new thing. But the fact that it can happen is kind of a little bit scary, right? I mean, now I have alerts set up where I'll get an alert, I have to verify it, which is great. But technology wise, I mean, the point she's making here is that they still froze her account, right? So the mechanism is there, and certainly we've seen people debank platform. It happened to Yi recently, where he was with one of the big ones. I'm not going to mention it, but one of the big, large banking conglomerates, and they just said, like, you know what, we don't want to do business with you anymore. And it's happened to a bunch of people, generally on the kind of trending towards the red team. Like, so there's that sort of there's like a built-in inherent bias, but this is what's there. And that is scary. Look at this right here. Berserker says cerebral disconnection commission.
It's exactly what it is. So here's the other one, and this is an interesting conversation as well. So yeah, except Ripple provides the software to make CBDCs happen. So WTF, guys, true or not, what you got to say about that?
Yeah, so it's kind of like that's kind of what I was kind of tiptoeing around before, Jeff. It's like you create it's almost like you create, let's say you create an Android of some kind, right? And you create an Android, and one of the features of the Android is it could kill if it's enabled, right? It could potentially kill another human, but you're like, yeah, but most people aren't going to want to do that. They're probably not going to want to use that feature, but you've enabled the opportunity for that feature to be turned on a flag. So that I kind of liken it to that. So you created the monster, and then in the monster, the other party, not you that created, but the third party who's using it could potentially enable that feature. And then what happens? So there you have it's a which came first, the chicken or the egg. But if it's an option, and they say probably most people would be silly to enable that option. Well, I mean,
So yeah, so my thought on it, Chip, I kind of agree. It is kind of, hey, but at the same point, so here's the big question. We're all big into XRP and XRPL and digital asset and the decentralized frameworks and all of that. Is everybody really into Ripple? That is a centralized, company that's looking out for their own interests, which they just happen to build on the XRPL. So it's really, important to follow the case. They're building a project that is revolutionary, taking over Swift at what Swift does. And they're going to simplify and decrease to almost nothing the cost of moving money, which is, really important, from a, overall picture. Now, like you said, okay, so that's the great Android that they just created. It's amazing. But at the same time, there's this other part of it where they're also going to build out the CBDC aspect to where they can. But here's what's interesting, though, is as they build it out, they can also leave out certain features, meaning, the smart control and programmability to where they can, as they build out an asset, maybe, they do build in the privacy, mechanisms, because that's what is critical. At the same time, maybe they don't. But that means that as we're seeing this case unfold right now, SEC v. Ripple, what is important to come out of this is that the decentralized currencies and the framework moving forward in the U.S. are going to, basically, we're going to establish, I don't want to say legitimacy, but we're going to establish some sort of a norm, right? There's going to be an outcome from this case that is going to say XRP is not a security, and it wasn't a security. And that's what Ripple's fighting for. But from that case outcome, all these other assets that follow and others that exist today are going to fit within that same framework, meaning that this is now, we're looking at the future. We're looking at a future that has CBDCs living side by side with digital assets that survive, in the decentralized frameworks. And so I think that to me, Chip, is also an important outcome, is that the CBDC side, I look at it as a foregone conclusion anyways. Countries aren't going to give up sovereignty over their own currency. If there's other currencies that exist in the world, I think that the cat's out of the bag, too far down the road now for them to really try to stop it. They can really put everything out there and crush everybody's livelihoods, but that doesn't do anybody any good. So, there's going to be digital currency. There's going to be CBDCs. There's nothing we can do to stop that, and then that's the country's sovereign, rights to maintain their own currency. And that's life. The fact that they create them, I'm happier if Ripple's creating the helping to establish the CBDCs than them running off and trying to create their own. You're muted. You're muted.
Turns out that everybody wants that programmable feature. The governments are like, it doesn't have the programmable feature. Don't worry, we won't use it. But look at this right here. So KHUD said, thank you for the support. It says, we are here to be our own sovereign financial entity. And I think that is incredibly well said. This whole idea of a sovereign financial entity, because, sometimes people confuse the whole methodology of a central bank versus banks. Look, banks perform a really good service, right? I mean, you feel like your money's in there. It's insured by the FDIC. A central bank is something different. This is where, KHUD's landing a point. You're talking about we are our own sovereign financial entity because we control what's a digital assets. It goes back to that Lebanese story that you had up earlier of becoming your own sovereign financial. And sometimes it's going to be circumstance that may or may not push you there. But I look at how great would the whole entire world be and every single country be if they had their own sovereign currency, because nobody has their own sovereign currency. Every nation has a third party that's a debt-ridden system that will print the money, will create the fiat currency, and then charge the host nation a very big premium when it comes to interest. And it's just a debt-ridden system. It doesn't work. We are where we are today, largely due to, I mean, of course, government choices because of these centralized third-party banks. So there's that little rant.
There's that. That's good. And so Jim D is saying CBDC will be in a position to offer discounts to be the right stuff for social policy, or charge premiums, fees for buying the wrong stuff. And there you go.
Jeff, what did we see recently? You pulled up an article or alerted us to, it was a country in Africa that they released a CBDC and their adoption was less than 0.5%. Do you remember which country that was?
No, there's going to be a lot more. So this is DNI saying, there's what is FWIW?
I don't know, man. I can't.
Something in a lawsuit. I was a plaintiff. My attorney said that although we had overwhelming evidence in our favor, often judges will split the result down the middle.
For what it's worth.
That was, or for what it's worth. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that makes sense. But John Deaton what do you call that? Split the baby or something like that? Split the result down the middle.
Yeah, split the baby. Split the baby. Goes back to the Bible.
But that's not, yeah, but that probably won't happen in this situation.
Goes back to the Old Testament. And here's something here. So this is amazing. Max Kaiser, the maxi of all maxis. Like, the thing about this guy is, like, he doesn't have the ability to use any logic or reason, even when pointed out that, hey, and this is a very solid demonstrative case of what he's having a hard time with. So Max Kaiser, I would call him the supreme Bitcoin maxi. The crypto shitcoin industry is a scam. The only folks on this list are scammers. The SEC needs to set a precedent against scams like XRP/Ripple and rip them to shreds. Send Brad to the gallows. Okay, so here's the article he's talking about. Now 11 entities, now we know it's 12, back the Ripple with an amicus brief. Okay, so, and what's lost on him, I don't know why, because he doesn't possess logic or reason, is the whole idea of a use case. You see, that's what's missing, because maybe on the Bitcoin side, they're like decentralization is decentralization, right? Okay, but what's the use case, right? And clearly there's a lot of different use cases here. So this is the whole thing talking about the list of Ripple Labs supporters continues to grow. And he says he wants to send Brad Garlinghouse to the gallows, Jeff. I mean, that's a little bit hardcore, but don't worry, because John Deaton came in and put him in his place. He said, somebody should count the number of times Mad Max has brought up XRP in the last month. Trust me, if you don't feel threatened by something, you wouldn't comment about it. I think it was the spend the bits amicus brief that put Max over the top. XRP helping Bitcoin, and it was just too much. Thoughts, Jeff?
Somebody has to put him in his. Yeah, it's too much. I like that.
I mean, spend the bits though. But when he went off with Max Kaiser about the fastest way to send Bitcoin is through the XRP ledger, and the fact that you can't do it with the Lightning Network, and the Lightning Network, because it's peer to peer, you could technically say that could be some violations on the SEC itself. So, and they spent $82 million was invested in the Lightning Network, $82 million, and they do not have a methodology for sending it quick.
Yeah, it still doesn't work. And it's called Lightning. So
Garbage.
Lightning, I mean,
and spend the bits is the way to do it, Jeff.
No, yeah. When you have to build another software, which, hey, you know what? These maxis have to wake up to the fact that Bitcoin has a purpose. Its use case is store of value. That's it. It's not moving anything quick. It's like, hey, you know what? I have this amazing invention. It's called gold. And I'm going to start spending my gold. And I want to buy, things with gold. And I'm going to have to bring a wheelbarrow, or I'm going to have to bring something, to carry all these gold bars around with me, because it's super efficient. And so I'm gonna invent something, called the lightning barrel or something like that
Which
has
was
wheels
twice as
on it,
quick.
and it moves twice as quick. Maybe I'll attach a horse to it or something, and I'll get it to you twice as quick. It's just crazy,
Yeah,
So
K-Hud, thank you for that. It says, we will be happy to be done with purgatory. It
that's
seems like it's kind of where we've been living for a while, right? And purgatory is a weird place too, because, it could last a long time, unfortunately. But yeah, we're kind of in the purgatory area there.
purgatory. So K Hud saying, Jeff and Chip, you're right. We always get lost, and whatever the drama is, but Ripple is still moving forward, and we have to understand that, no matter what. And then Jungle Inc. has his comment here. If you guys haven't followed Jungle yet, make sure you guys do that. Jungle's been dropping some great videos. Jungle is an OG.
Especially the shorts. The shorts are killer.
His shorts are just crushing it. His comment here, I'm sure Ripple will do many evil things. Part of the reason I'm confident they will succeed. So
Let me put that back up, Jeff. The truth is stranger than fiction, and sometimes sarcasm, it's all right there. And the fact is, that's exactly why. Why? Because just like Russell Brand said, it's energy efficient. Is it energy efficient, Jeff? Is it energy efficient? It is. It checks the box. All right. If it's energy efficient, well, hells, bells. I mean, that's like the greatest thing possible. It's like, but or is it good for is it good for the environment, Jeff? I want to know that. Very important to me if I want to move forward with this or not. Ticks
I don't know.
the box.
If I have to fire up my computer and I have to burn electricity,
But
to
you
use my
hear what I'm saying.
oh, I get it. It checks the box. It does. It
Of
checks the
course,
box that everybody loves.
What would it be without Alchemist letting everyone know that John Deaton is his hero? He's everyone's hero, but I get your affinity. I get that. I get the love. It's all good. I get that.
We got to remember here, Mr. Wolf, saying Swift is owned by the largest banks. A lot of people think it's a government entity. They control cross-border settlement today, and that Swift does control the cross-border, not necessarily settlement per se, but the transaction, the communication aspect of it. Swift is definitely in control of all of that. And if you use your Swift number, then you realize that's Swift. That's what they're all about. Super inefficient and expensive. Right. It's the exact opposite of
So
being
Jeff,
Swift. Well, what's funny though? Bitcoin has the Lightning Network and Swift has Swift. So it's great. It's swift like lightning. I don't know.
yeah. The other thing too is that Ripple will comply with all kinds of if there's any sort of a embargo, they'll comply with that. So it's not like we're using a digital asset. We'll get around that. No. Sorry, it's not going to happen because it is a U.S. company. It's regulated, supposedly.
That's right. Yeah. That Kaiser is a paid Russian stooge.
The thing about Kaiser is he's smart. I've listened to his podcast a number of times. I check out short clips. He's a smart guy. He loves to just press the button. He loves to just throw that stuff out there and really hit. Yeah, spend the bits could save. So I want to put this up, Jeff, because this is something you talked a lot about, which was you brought this point up. Is it going to be exchanges buying banks or banks buying exchanges? What are we going to see happen? And then I saw this, reminded me of just that thought you had going back a couple of years now. With $1 billion in cash, Binance goes shopping for banks.
That's
Binance's CZ said they're acquiring banks will help them form a bridge between traditional finance, TradeFi, and the rapidly emerging crypto space.
And what is that?
He said there are Changpeng Zhao, better known as CZ, said there are people who hold certain types of local licenses, traditional banking, payment service providers, and even banks. We're looking at these things. We want to be the bridge between crypto and the traditional financial world. So what do you think about this, Jeff? This is really an interesting development because it seems like we've seen more exchanges looking to acquire banks than the other way around.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an important advancement. It's interesting that Binance is one of the first to move in this direction. I mean, not the first, but one of the first. And it's important, because the banks aren't buying digital asset exchanges yet. So if this is the move, and Binance is the first to want to bridge that gap, what a better way to do it? It's like Elon Musk just bought Twitter. It's interesting. As he's trying to kind of liberate social media. Chip, you and I were talking about, what if he decides he wants to liberate General Motors and buy General Motors and incorporate that under Tesla. It's interesting times that we're having here. So there's a lot. There's so much money that's floating around out there. I mean, it's amazing. But right now, Chip, for Binance to get into this, to the banking side of it's exciting, truly exciting.
Yeah, I think it's I think we're living in an interesting times. By the way, so something on Twitter, if you impersonate, because I saw David Schwartz comment. It said Elon Musk. It had the blue check mark, but somebody had changed their name, the one that shows on screen, not the actual handle. And so David Schwartz had commented on that, and I'm like, that doesn't look like an Elon Musk tweet. So I click on it and realize, no, it's not. So Elon Musk put a tweet out earlier saying that if you impersonate somebody and clearly do not mark it as a parody, especially if you are someone that is verified and you get a blue check mark and you change it. So Kathy Griffin just got permanently suspended for doing just that, changing her name, not putting it out, not clearly defining that. And Jeff, this is the problem we have in the space, is that someone would be like, hey, did you send me this DM? No, I didn't send you a DM. And this is why you see some people have, like John Deaton on his handle, he has exactly how many followers he has, so that you know that that's his account. And John Deaton has not been able to get a blue check mark, even though he's the lead attorney behind this amicus brief with 74,000 XRP holders. He has his own law practice. He's a known figure. He has over 200,000 people following him on Twitter, but he couldn't. And it turns out, Jeff, I don't know if you heard this news, but it turns out that employees were selling that. Employees at the old Twitter were selling these blue check marks for 15 grand. Did you hear that?
Huh. That's interesting.
And Elon Musk even settled up. And I wanted to show this one here. This is interesting. You have this kind of popped up here. So XRPP gets asked about its banner a lot from its inaugural XRP Productions publication. So much great journalism in there, and maybe some moon date clues. So I wanted to show these two things that kind of popped up. This one right here, this one is from Tuesday, May 23rd, 2011. Man tarred feather after claiming Bitcoin will one day surpass $20 per token. Okay, obviously this is a parody. I'm just reading the headlines. Called crazy loon by angry townspeople. Ambitious young nerdlinger Vitalik Buterin debuts Bitcoin newspaper. And then this one here, Mt. Gox founders explain to XRP Productions what makes them such a trustworthy exchange. That didn't work out so well, right? I mean, as we know, tarred and feather seems rough. And then there's this one, Jeff. The NSA special agent Schwartz assigned to a new secret blockchain project. This one was from high hopes to improve upon the crappy aspects of Bitcoin, acting on direct orders from the president last week. NSA special agent David Schwartz joined a super secret new blockchain project with rumored goals of nut punching the global financial system and leveling the playing field for individuals and businesses across I don't know, the rest of it's missing, but there it is right there, Jeff. Super secret project right there.
I love it. I love the secret projects.
I love this one. CNBC's Jim Cramer laughs for an entire hour about Bitcoin on Mad Money. If you want to know what not to buy or hold, or even have remotely be interested, go ahead and follow Jim Cramer, because it's a complete S show, Jeff.
That's right.
Complete S show. That's what it is. And yeah, I was using my so after David Schwartz started doing all those AI things, and of course he did everybody in that exact thread. He did an AI version of them, and he skipped over me. So I was like, hey, I'll do my own AI. Turns out my AI is better. I don't know what AI he's using, but my AI is much stronger than his. And I asked, since everybody jokes about me being like Max Headroom, I asked the AI to create me as Max Headroom, and there it is right there. So that's what I'm using as my avatar right now. It's me as Max Headroom with the plastic hair and everything, Jeff.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, pretty sweet indeed. Max Headroom. Does this stuff do that? No, not even close, Jeff. Not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close. So this one here, I wanted to read this. Speaking of David Schwartz, I thought this would be a good one to kind of look at. He was replying to some tweets about overworking, and actually from Nick Bougalis, remember? Nick was basically saying that how he's worked himself to death, and you got to know when enough's enough. David
Yeah.
Schwartz said, this is one of the things keeping me at Ripple. I know that if I started working on something else, I'd want to put in more than I'm physically capable of putting in. That would be harmful to myself, my family. And I don't regret the 2 years I worked way too much in the XRP ledger, but it's not something I'm particularly anxious to do again, despite how rewarding it was on every level. And then he said, learn how to get the most productivity out of yourself without constantly sacrificing your health, your physical or mental. Then you'll have a generous reserve for those occasional cases where you really do need to push yourself. I think that's really good advice.
I like that. You definitely
So-
need a little bit of that reserve.
That reserve, a little bit of solid advice. What do you got, Jeff? You got
It's,
something to take us home?
This is for Jay Hoddle.
Swift like
Number
lightning.
2, Swift like lightning. Racehorse. That was Jay Hoddle said, you know what? Swift like lightning could be a racing horse name. Well, there you go. Swift like lightning.
There it is.
Yeah.
So
Pretty
this
sweet.
is something I want to throw up here too. So Jack Dorsey was the CEO of Twitter. He talked about working on a project called Blue Sky for 2.5 years. Talked about it being a decentralized platform, and I'll be honest with you, Jeff, I wasn't really buying it. I was like, yeah, it sounds like another good thing, but here he is right here. So former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey launches social media platform Blue Sky.
What's up with that?
Yeah, so it says here, let's see. Where is it here? So he's launching a new social media platform called Blue Sky, public benefit corporation, trying to build a new and open and decentralized form of social media. Platform aims to create a standard protocol for social media platforms. Once fully developed, would allow separate social media networks to interact with each other via an open standard, despite each network having its own curation and moderation systems. Blue Sky was conceived as a solution to the failures of Twitter. It was announced at a time when social media networks were being accused of data misappropriation, misinformation, and election interference. In fact, Jack Dorsey introduced the project in a Twitter thread that justified the ban of Donald Trump on the platform, trying to do our part by funding an initiative around an open, decentralized standard for social media. So I don't know. You give it
good.
any, you think that's going
Your
to
job
hold up?
said- I guess Red Sky would be a better name for it. So,
It couldn't be, yeah, but it would, but that kind of tells you a lot right there. So here's all it has. You can sign up for the private beta right here, but that's all they have is just the ability to join, and they've got a blog. I don't know, talks about the protocol, and I have read some of this from before. Was announced in 2019, but only recently set up. So he's trying to get it off the ground, and maybe it's changed the scope a little bit, but I don't know, Jeff. I'm curious about it. And I like the fact that it could be potentially something interesting, especially the way it would interact as an open protocol between other social networks with their own content moderation. We'll see how that pans out. Keep it
Could be
a close eye.
Hey, so for the last couple of minutes, there's all this discussion over trading and trading platforms. I don't know anything about this one, but this article popped up. I thought it was kind of interesting. It's called crypto copy trading. And it's copy trading isn't 100% new because people have looked at expert traders out there and have tried to copy their transactions. Sometimes you're a little bit behind the 8 ball when you're trying to copy them. But now there's actually software that you can then go and pick out a top trader, and you can put in your money. So let's say here, if the trader, the copy trading software is following invest $100 to buy coin 8, the software will spend $100 on the same cryptocurrency. It helps amateur traders use the expertise of other traders and also helps them learn the skill of making smart investment decisions. So the question is, you're following these investors and you're just putting your money there. You kind of put it in on autopilot. You don't even have to do anything. You can stop it if you don't want it to invest. And I thought this would be really interesting to trial out and just see if it actually works. Put $100 in there and say, here we go. Or 1,000, whatever. I mean, obviously, when the traders are trading, sometimes they leverage the amount of money that they're investing as well, based on what kind of return they're going to get. But I thought this was really interesting. Yeah, just amazing. you set up the software and let
Sounds
it go.
interesting. Jeff, are you going to be are you saying you're the guinea pig for this? You're going to go ahead and
I'm going to be a guinea pig. I'm going to see if this is legit first and
'cause
foremost.
you know the software doesn't work on Mac, so I couldn't possibly engage in that kind of tomfoolery. But Berserker says, look, Legendary and I will clothesline everyone tag team style if you don't hit the like now. Thank you for that. And then Savvy Granny says her family declared her insane in 2009 for buying Bitcoin and again in 2012 for buying XRP. They all come to her for advice now. Hang in there, mate. It gets better. And she's talking to someone named Brandon.
Yeah,
Of course, we know a different Brandon.
Well, Brandon was saying in the chat that he's worried because his wife is upset because he's always talking about XRP and buying XRP.
Yeah, what I've learned is don't talk about it, man. Keep it to yourself. You know, it's kind of like
What's the first rule of crypto trading?
yeah,
Don't talk about
crypto. Yeah. The second rule is do not talk about crypto or trading. And it's that the thing is when you're super excited and then you start to sound like a cult member. That's the problem. It's like I remember early days like
that is part of the
XRP.
problem, I think, right?
Well, the funny thing is our one I got a couple different internet providers, but one of them to connect to it has the word XRP in it. So it's like, you know, so the whole neighborhood can see that it's, you know, XRP, right? So, and it's the fastest network, by the way, Jeff. So it's my faster network. But yeah, you start thinking about everything. You get an XRP license plate, and then you start, you know, buying XRP, you know, stickers and putting them on your computer, and it just gets a little weird. But I get it.
That's right. So Mr. Wolf is saying the number of lemons on your trees never change. What's up?
And why
with that?
should they, man?
Exactly. That's right. That's because they're all securities. I don't want to
They're
get rid of my
securities.
security.
Yeah, you don't
I'm
pluck one of those
maintaining-
puppies off, and you're security central, man.
I'm
But
losing
anyway,
my-
that's all the time, guys, we have today. Thank you for being the biggest, best, brightest, smartest people in crypto, showing up here with your support, with your comments. Great to see Oz Crypto, another great
Right, they're called
YouTuber in the
personalities.
space, along with Jungle Inc. Great to see you here, and also Flare Community. It's great. I love when other people that I really like and watch their
Yeah.
videos, they come in here and like listen to our banter. So
Berserker.
thank you for that.
Berserker's got a great stream that takes
And
place.
Berserker
Wednesday.
too. Berserker does a great job. Berserker has a great voice, by the way. He's got the perfect voice. He controls that stream, and I really don't give him enough kudos for that. But he's got a great voice. I feel like he should have like he has a radio show or has done radio or something before. Just has that kind
Definitely,
of beautiful
yeah.
voice.
It's really perfect, you know. Could be. So yeah,
Susan
so
Chippy, night for the OG Chippy. All right, that's all we got, guys. We are out of here. Anything you want to say, Jeff, before we get out of here?
and also appreciate all of you guys out there in the YouTube space that gather and watch us. You guys are amazing. We do have the best and the brightest in all of crypto YouTube land. So let's go out with a little bit of music. I don't think that's the one.
There it is. We gotta get better tracks. We gotta get our there we go. We gotta get our better tracks. So anyway, that's all we got, guys. We will catch you on the next one, which will be Wednesday evening. Guys, have a great week. It's gonna be more action packed in there, and we can't wait to jump into it. Have a good one. Chip and Jeff. Ow! See you guys.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.